to the split. If they can pick up a couple wins, it'll be pretty nice. But these teams, they may be locked out of playoffs unless they start right now chaining together series after series after series. Then we can start to see them as an actual playoff contention. But both of them are getting very close to getting locked out and mostly playing spoiler for a lot of teams in that instance.
And in fairness, we've seen it multiple times for teams that once the pressure's off, you kind of play a lot better. You play your game as better as you can possibly do it. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. But so far, both these teams still very much in the vicinity to try and get themselves into playoffs should they be able to will it into existence. LGD on the blue, AL on the red, and we're seeing things like the Milio, the Cassante, the Lee Sin actually banned away from Xiaohao. That's an interesting one there, gives you the favor of it, but does mean that the Vi is the first pick coming out here from LGD, and it looks like AL are going to try and respond with potentially a bot lane combination.
Yeah, if you are going to be going for this, I think that LGD throwing a little bit of the gauntlet, saying we're going to pick Vi, we dare you to try to go for that Zeri Yumi or Zeri Lulu combo, right? You're not going to be able to take that away. And I love the fact that every team now that goes up against AL that knows that Xiaohao is going to be starting, they have to get rid of that Lee Sin. There was something that wasn't really popping up and isn't in any other major region. But that one win, it's that full series win up against TT that led to everybody saying, okay, we cannot give them LeBlanc, we cannot give them Lee Sin. Xiaohao was a monster in the JDG series just last week. So I love that that's a little bit of an adaptation. It's something that is unique to anyone's Legend.
Yeah, and it's really nice to see them as well. We are going to see the Lovers duo now going into that bot side there for the side of LGD, Envy and Jin Zhao coming into it. And look, let's talk about Envy a little bit. Very excited people. A lot of people are very excited for him coming over, having an opportunity here in the LPL. It has not gone well at all. He has had a rough time of it here in the LPL.
He currently statistically is not looking very great in goal difference at 15. It is a rough start to the league, and coming off of Live Sandbox, I think people were very excited, rightfully so. You look across the pond to the North American scene, you have two different LCK AD carries coming over in Prince and Berserker, who had massive opening splits, both of them taking down names. Unfortunately for Prince, not able to really make it qualify for international events, but his story has been super inspirational, and so coming off of the same team as Prince, joining LGD, I think eyes rightfully so, and a lot of pressure on a young player to come into the league, where in the LPL, known for a lot of famous world-class AD carries, it is a pretty big standard to live up to.
That's the big thing. You're coming into a league here where, you know, we've been built off of the back of AD carry prowess, and it just feels like it's just so difficult to really try and, you know, lock that in here for the side of Envy. He's just not been having a good time of it. Really been kind of put to the sword a little bit. And again, another legendary AD carry to kind of go up against. iBoy, yes, we did say that his most recent seasons haven't been the greatest of all, but he is still a man to be feared. He's still someone who can come out with exceptional performances when he needs. I believe the most viewed clip on LPL's Twitch of all time is an iBoy clip where he dodges a Sejuani ult, I believe. So yeah, still after all these years, still the most viewed clip on the Twitch channel. So
I was gonna say that might have changed with Uzi coming back. There might have been a shift.
Quite possibly. But we're gonna get the Threshkin locked in here for iBoy and Zora. So Zora gonna be able to kind of protect this Aphelios. It's kind of the old school pairing. Thresh does help out the Aphelios in a lot of ways, where he just kind of covers a lot of his weaknesses.
And it's also a good matchup into the Rakan, being able to stop him on the engage with the Grand Entrance, and at any point being able to catch him out. Rakan, an engage champion that doesn't have a lot of resistances, so very unique in that sense. It's kind of squishy. When you look at the other side, though, a lot of threat into this backline. LGD going for a ton of dive with the Akali, with the Vi, and with the safety of something like the Xayah, Gragas fits just perfectly in here. So now for the side of AL, they need to be able to play defensive, something that's going to operate well under the turret, going to be able to stop them. Cassante was taken out pretty early. Sion, I think, would be a perfectly fine top lane blind, even into the Gragas. Sucks in the lane. We already saw later game. We're talking about this game going much further. Could be a really valuable top lane tank.
Absolutely. I think that's the best way to kind of look at it, is that top lane tank getting you something that can engage in. But this is something that's been kind of very much exclusive, I feel like, to the LPL. The Aatrox coming in as a little bit of a top lane counter to these tank top laner engages. So really like seeing it coming out here for the side of AL, giving them another little point of pressure. And again, just more kind of forward pressure to push in on the dives.
I want to see what ZDZ can do, because up against JDG, he was taking them to task. He was making sure to keep them honest, keeping them responsible, saying, you need to be able to answer me in the side lane. Eventually is the one that TPs into the base and ends that first game, giving them an advantage. And into the Gragas, it's a very good matchup. As long as you can keep Gragas at arm's length, you can poke him out through the laning phase. You can make sure to be a really, really resilient bruiser. And you look on the opposite side, while they do have a lot of dive, that Q3, all of them can be very, very nuisance for the side of LGD.
Absolutely. You got to feel like for LGD, they're going to have to be a bit more creative, you feel like, in these kind of engages. But a point-and-click CC and the disengage available to them with the Xayah and the Akali makes it just as difficult for anyone's Legend to try and really take down these carries in one swift blow. We'll have to wait and see how it all ends up unfolding onto the Rift, as both these teams desperate to try and get their season back on track. No one wants to be falling this far down in the season this early on. But unfortunately, someone's got to do it. In a league of wins and losers, there's got to be winners and there's got to be losers.
It's unfortunate. Someone's going to have to win today. Anyone's Legends, if they do, they will move forward with 2 wins in their series. LGD still searching for their first one. A lot of series going to 3 games for them, but they need to be able to close this one out. Here in Game 1, anything can really happen. I think we've seen the evolution of these two teams really start to hit a fever pitch now that we've gone past the Week 3 hump. We've seen how LGD, they're able to play when Meteor is able to play very aggressive, get into somewhat of a carry position. And I think Vi is perfect at that. Gives him some mobility tools to play and, you know, do some skillful expression.
See how they go for it right now. Of course, ZDZ has played the Aatrox into the Gragas so far this split. Went 0-2-0. Not the greatest of, and did lose that game against TT, so not the greatest of score lines, but see if he has a bit more of a better time of it in this particular game. So we jump onto the Rift and see where these guys want to go for. And again, the Vi is just such a powerful carrier here for Meteor. I really want to see him kind of have that emphasis with this carry to jump in onto the top of the Aphelios.
And because of where the both junglers are actually starting, even ZDZ giving over a leash, which is not very common right now in the meta, recognizing that, hey, we're just going to be seeing them move on forward. Both junglers pathing towards the bottom side of the map, which again is an influence. When we talk about how Xiao Hao does find success, it is with moving with his mid laner and setting up the bot lane for success.
See a little bit of a trade down in this bot side, but again, not really much else to be kind of going for it. I will say, though, an engage on top of that one onto Zora means he's going to be forced to flash away. Summoner's burnt here, and again, you cannot underestimate the power of a Rakan. He's got exceptional work to be able to kind of go for this. And Haichao, I know he wants to be in line for the minion XP, but that is a hard trade to be taking this early on.
Wow. This is one of the reasons why Akali is not very popular right now. She has a pretty big losing matchup into most of the mid laners that are very popular. And when especially you're playing against the Annie, who is so resilient, has the ability to just use AoE, so hey, you go into your Shroud, boom, you're still going to get stunned, you're still going to get farmed out for the first strike. Pretty tough, pretty tough. It puts a lot of burden of execution onto Haichao, who even playing this champion in earlier series, I think kind of missed the mark in terms of trying to find that backline threat. We'll see if he's kind of improved on that and able to find some different levels of success here in this game.
That's the big thing for Haichao. He's got to farm up. He's not really going to be looking for too much aggression into this Vi, who's going to be able to kind of go tit for tat for him realistically in the grand scheme of this game. So getting his Cyclone online as early as possible is the name of the game here. And look, the Akali has got a potential kind of, you know, big ceiling to kind of work with here, but I do feel like it's such a risk here for LGD kind of coming into this one here. Yes, it got mobility. Yes, it got assassination kind of capabilities, but if you get CC down and burst it out, you're useless.
Oh, I loved the start of this path because you saw that Meteor actually went for his red buff, instead skipping out on the Raptors and going for Krugs, trying to avoid the ward. But harder, he placed it at a bit of an later timer, which meant that the ward was still up. They do get kind of seen out. And now they know that Meteor only has 2 plays. Go for a gank or end up topside. And now Xiao Hao will get spotted on this mid wave. And that means that now there's double scuttle, so he will experience a bit of an experience lead and a bit of a gold lead, can reset, go back towards his bottom side camps if he needs to. He can even start back on the top side on his Krugs, move down in the bottom lane and get set up for the Dragon in a minute. You're feeling more than comfortable. Meteor kind of has a lot of the onus to get some early plays going, even if it's not a kill. Summoner spells will go more than a far amount here.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great way to put it. I love that you brought it up as well. The fact that AL kind of say, cool, well, he's not on the top scuttle, which means he's definitely on the bot lane. Immediately, we saw the bot lane of AL just back themselves up, do not want to try and fight these guys just yet. And LGD just happy to kind of keep the pressure going in this bot side. And it is to be expected. The Xayah will have a bit of a better time bursting out someone like the Aphelios until potentially we see Zora land a bit of a hook here onto any carry really of LGD.
And again, more full clearing coming out from them. I will say that Meteor currently does have a small advantage in the fact that he has actually spent his gold. Xiao Hao's still waiting, wanting to come up and try to maximize how much gold he has. I was going to say, I mean, his wolves aren't coming up for a little bit, so maybe he could look for something. This should be his recall timer, play for this dragon. Bottom lane didn't fully reset here, which is a big advantage, I think, for LGD if they are actually going to play for this dragon. iBoy is very late, as he did stay for an additional wave. And this means that Envy has to catch this. It frees up Jin Zhao for him to look for something and start to put down vision in AL's jungle.
Well, Harder is level 6. He did spot Meteor here. I don't know if they know that Jin Zhao is there, so maybe we're going to see a flash being used. No, nice fancy feet there from Harder, and the 3-man gank will need to nothing as Zora had already roamed up just to cover that side of the map.
Zora's just here to make sure that his mid laner is okay, and iBoy instead taking this path, going to be walking through the river. Needs to be a little bit careful. If he face checks something, could be a potential find here. He puts down his control ward in the dragon to try and make sure that none of that objective is going to be started. Oh, and even Zora finds this ward, so good ability for anyone's Legends to stifle any engage from LGD. And if this game does go even, I will favor anyone's Legends. They have the champions that will deal the best with a dive. They're gonna get more and more resilient. It does mean that LGD's assassins do get more items and can deal more damage, but it's a Kali, and a ton of that is single target burst.
Yeah, kind of needs to either go on to the Annie or the Aphelios pretty damn early on in the fight, or it's not going to gain much value from it. Both TPs from the mid lane, or into the mid lane from the mid laners. Because now the Dragon is the next big port of call. This is just a hard one to really fight. Again, you're just not really in a position to kind of go for the scuttle fight just yet. I will say, though, with Envy kind of sitting down on this bot side, it does mean that he's able to kind of continue with that one. There's going to be Haichao now getting caught off here.
Oh.
They don't even use the Cyclone. They just get the perfect execution out of him. And now Decade has to flash because ZDZ was going to land those Infernal Chains.
Wow, that's an insane summoner spell now advantage coming out from the top side. ZDZ can very easily poke this out. The one thing I will say is not only is Haichao kind of hovering towards his top side, Meteor's pathing can mean that he goes towards top side. They use Decade's ultimate to try to get Aatrox under that turret, and they can look for a kill. You already see Xiao Hao, instead of going for those camps, he's invading, trying to spot out Meteor and stop him from hitting level 6. This Gromp should be what gets Vi their ultimate, and if they can't do that, then you're taking so much of the power, so much of the want for why Vi is so popular out from underneath LGD.
You're delaying it. That's the big thing right now. You're delaying the time. You do have that cease and desist. You're delaying the kind of playmaking abilities that LGD might have. And Xiao Hao should be able to kind of stop it at least for a couple more seconds. But with the red buff respawning on the mini-map, you can see that Meteor going straight towards that buff should be able to confirm that for himself and get him to that level 6. But like you said, just gives the rest of his team room to breathe. They now know pretty confidently that bot lane's got to be a little bit more careful. Ghost does get used here by iBoy as he recognized the feathers were starting to stack a little bit too closely behind him, and might just be a trade of Dragon for Rift here between the two teams.
We'll even spot this out at the same time, but every single member on the top side of anyone's Legends is now hitting their recalls. Like you said, going to be a trade of dragons here, which feels nice for LGD. Remember, they are the ones that need to get early action done. And while it isn't a kill, it isn't them trying to force out some summoner spells away from anyone's Legends. This is them advancing the state of the game by taking this dragon. This is them trying to make sure that they will be able to contest for dragons later on, stop a soul stack if anyone Legends do end up getting more of them. And the Rift Herald, we'll see how they're able to use this. Xiaohao is coming, but he's going to be very late. Meteor and Haichao want to make this work.
They want to make it work. Cease and desist straight in. Jump on top of the Aphelios. Do not allow him to do anything. Not quite getting the 2 kills, though, so they invest quite a bit. Not quite able to get the 100% down, but 1 kill is still good for LGD. They get the man they wanted. As now Zora thinking about maybe going for something here, but there's not another person in that brush, and he's not going to land the death sentence. But AL's harder, gets some free time in the mid lane.
Yeah, he gets a play for themselves. That is going to be a wave missed out by iBoy, as well as that kill going over to Haichao, so trying to make good on that. And that was a lot of flashes there. Meteor and Haichao no longer having their flash is something that can be punished as the game goes on. We get a look at this replay here as to what exactly happened. I mean, yeah, Zora, preferably you want to have Zora sitting in a position where he can try to do something like this, try to get everybody off of this Aphelios. Just wasn't it. Also got pushed off by the cease and desist. And we'll see what anyone Legends can do. They still have this Rift Herald available to them if they maybe want to use this in mid lane to try and get some extra gold. iBoy's dead.
Not yet. He's got a flash, but he's not got much else to do with it now. Yeah, he's going to go down now. Envy getting himself a kill in this bot side, and that is just a very poor play coming out from iBoy there. Not respecting the fact that he's all alone, and it's a Zyra Rakan.
He's thinking, okay, my team is nearby, I can make this play. But Envy checking him, saying, okay, well, how nearby? Because if they're not close enough to you to throw like a lantern, you're done for. So that's not only the flash from iBoy, but him going down, more plates, more gold being missed out by this Aphelios. Now we want to see if you're on the side of anyone Legends, and this is the LGD that we have been waiting to see. It's not the full form, they still have a lot of game to play. But in the games that they've been able to win, it is off of aggressive plays coming out from the mid lane, coming out from the jungle, and setting their bot lane up for success.
It's a good start here in terms of kills for LGD, but you can see that pretty much every lane, apart from bot, they are ahead by 20 CS or so. It's actually pretty significant here between the top side of the map. This is why you pick the Aatrox. You do have an awful lot of a better time going into the Gragas, who is going for that full AP for the moment, so Decade should have the burst damage available to him, and we'll wait to see how that Gragas kind of flourishes into this mid game. That's what it's all about. If he can land a good barrel here onto iBoy or Harder, kind of separate them out from the team, that's going to be a huge win condition for the side of LGD. As AL looking for something in this bot side. Death sentence does not land. We get our first mythic of the game, and we get the Divine Sunderer coming in for Xiaohao.
Yeah, Xiaohao is very far ahead right now. 30 up, or 25 up on his opponent. Still has the Rift Herald, and that probably is going to be the play here in mid lane with Haichao taking his recall. But we have a dragon spawning in 2 minutes, and AL are not feeling the most comfortable. I think the reason why they might be able to stay in proximity of the bot lane is the fact that iBoy did actually end up going for the call instead, where Envy trying to finish out more and more of this item, trying to finish out that Kraken Slayer. And now here, I mean, yeah, Xiaohao trying to use this, trying to get some more plates. Meteor's going to be able to respond. Still a minute and a half before that dragon. I mean, LGD, they're feeling way comfortable with where this game is at.
Very, very comfortable. Even rotating up their bot lane pressure to try and cover for this Herald push. Only getting the 1 plate over to Haichao, and that's literally it. So, Haichao, or sorry, not Haichao, Xiaohao, excuse me. Just trying to see if we can maybe go on to Haichao in this mid lane. Good trade back here from Haichao, but got the stun available for Harder, and I feel like without that Tibbers to kind of come down and really put in the work, it's just so difficult for the Annie to go for anything there.
Perfect trade there. That does mean, remember, Harder just teleported back in not only a few minutes ago, so they will not have this Annie be here, which opens up for LGD. Haichao is going to be able to push this wave out. He can take a recall whenever he wants and teleport back in. Meteor finishing the Black Cleaver first, and will be out on the map before anyone's Legend can actually redeploy back into this bot lane.
LGD very happy with the way the game's going on so far. I will say it is still a CS lead, and that's a gold lead available to the side of AL, but Dragon is in the favor of LGD. Didn't really get much else from the Rift Herald, so you can say that that's a bit of a net positive here, and they're going to drop down the Tibbers, try and make something work here on that mid lane. It's getting more difficult. You have to rush those Merc Treads, and again, having those available to you, that extra tenacity, just makes that fight so much harder.
Does it? I mean, he's walking into the river. We could see it.
You
AL
thought
at first to the
thought
play
about
here.
not
Yeah.
saying it, and then you're just like,
Yeah,
you know
I had to
commit.
I had to do it. Come on. Yeah, we have a long series ahead of us potentially here. First play, they are on this dragon. They are hitting it. There's teleports coming in. It is Hai Chao. While Decade is moving on over, walking on through. There is no Blade Caller available for Envy for the next few seconds.
Oh! He's so
Meteor!
Meteor gets the ultimate in as well. And they're going to try and burst it down. Whoa, I don't think he wanted to go that deep. And now, do you have the fight? Great explosive cast from Decade. Just separate everybody else, and they cannot go for a re-engage. Hai Chao looking for a perfect execution. Says one more push on it, but not going to pull the trigger on that particular ability. It's a 1-for-1 trade. LGD get the dragon, and LGD getting themselves closer and closer to that soul.
Oh my god, they've got 2 dragons now, you know, looking good. We have seen individual game wins for LGD. Not able to really connect it, not able to grab 2 in a row, or at least 2 in a full series. We get a replay of this. How did Harder steal this? I mean,
he just walked up.
I was going to say, yeah, literally just walks up. Xiao Hao just... Oh, wait,
really
what is that
know.
calculation? Yeah,
899.
Yeah, all right, well, Jin Zhao, this grand entrance and this quickness isn't able to get much. They walk straight into the Cyclone coming out from this Wukong. And now Rift Herald here, Xiao Hao on the opposite side of the map. ZDZ could potentially go to stop this, but is actually going to back off and try to cover his jungle, make sure that Levi is not trying to invade.
And again, just kind of moving back into this game. It's interesting because, again, it feels like LGD are ahead, but it is actually coming out of AL with the gold lead. So right now it does feel pretty good here for AL, and even if they don't know it. But LGD picking up that Rift Herald does put them in a much more favorable position. And with the AL, we're a little bit all over the place. There was actually a TP from Harder bot, but Zora and iBoy were there, and a very miscommunicated move there means that they just lose a mid-tower for free. No congestion around the map.
They were just late on the recall right there. Like, they should have been going out of base, straight into mid. Decade should be able to jump out. Harder can flash. That's the 2-pointer coming in from Decade. The ultimate just try to dissuade Harder from going in. Yeah, that was a great redeploy back onto the map from LGD. You saw that Envy and Jinja walked mid. Meteor taking the Rift Herald the entire time. And unfortunately, iBoy and Zora not matching. Not able to get there first, so it meant a mid-tier 1 out of nowhere. That was a ton of damage for them. And so while the gold is even, LGD are in such a good spot now.
Yeah, really, really well done there for them. They've got 2 dragons. Gold is even. They've even broken open that mid lane turret, as we have mentioned. So really, really well done there from them. And this is the thing that we're seeing with AL a lot, is that they just kind of go through the motions a little bit and don't really think about where they're going with that. We've seen it a couple of times where they've been pushing themselves kind of, into weird situations. The TP bot, when your bot lane's already there, feels odd. I mean, if the Annie's already in mid lane, it should be fine. So I don't know. It just feels like it's a very strange combination of things kind of going against AL. But LGD, you got to feel good for them right now. They're feeling like pretty confident in this game. I feel like this Xayah Rakan early priority has definitely paid off, especially in this early game.
It's just easier for them to push out the wave. Anytime Xayah uses her abilities, she's going to naturally push out the minion wave. Man on your screen right there. Envy having a okay game so far. We do need to see how they will close this first game out, if they can. While on the side lane, we're going to continue to see ZDZ get more and more tanky. He already has the Merc Treads, the Hex Drinker as well coming in, making it difficult for someone like Decade to actually find the solo kill. While he is going AP by picking up the Everfrost and even going for the tier here, I wonder if he's actually going to finish this and either go for the Fimbulwinter or picking up something like the Seraphs. It will make him very difficult to kill and put him more back into that AP bruiser than necessarily a burst mage when we go full AP.
Let's see what they're kind of go for. Right now, it is a slow game in all senses of the word. We're nearly 20 minutes into it. We haven't really had our real 5v5. Had a couple of picks here and there. Even the one we almost had in that bot side towards the dragon wasn't really a native full 5v5. But for the moment, it is LGD feeling pretty and seeing if they can kind of come out on head on this particular thing. And I want to see what AL can do to disrupt that. I want to see what they can try and work with this combination of the Annie and the Wukong to burst out someone like the Haichao to make a name for themselves in this game.
Maybe able to pull off something. Now, this is as even as the game is going to get. Every summoner spell is available to you, every ultimate as well. Jinzhao.
They're going in, but that's going to be the clone. You ulted the wrong one, and that's a bonk on the head from Haichao to secure the jungler's dead. Jinzhao almost going down as well. Actually, harder goes golden as Haichao goes in with the perfect execution. Well, that's all been happening. Top lane turret did go down in favor of LGD, but all said and done, it is still AL who come out with the kill. They come out with a dragon pressure, and they come out with a win.
Oh my god. That's so heartbreaking for LGD. They're like, oh, we're gonna kill Xiaohao. We're gonna get him. We're gonna take him down. It's the clone. The entire time. Great use of the trickster there. Coming out from Xiaohao as Jinzhao trying to find this engage, but all of it is focused on this Wukong. Meaning that no one else is able to do anything. I mean, Harder is here. You have iBoy putting down so much damage as well. So feels like LGD kind of just seeing blood in the water, seeing red, seeing, oh, see hero, kill hero. Turns into nothing for them. Like you said, a kill for AL, a dragon as well. And while the turret did go over to LGD, there's not another play for them to really go for. There's not another kill. There's not another Rift Tail to pick up. So LGD squandering some of that early lead for themselves. But Envy now finishing in that second item. We are looking towards this Korean AD carry to step up and bring this team a victory.
Yeah, I like that you brought up as well that nothing really to trade back from. And again, this is what we said before coming into this series. That it's probably going to be an exceptionally close game. It's not exactly like these two teams are much apart. Honestly, one win for AL is the difference at the moment. And LGD not wanting to go 0-8 just yet, but the series is far from over for the moment. And AL, they're posturing around this Baron for the moment. It's only just spawned. Yeah, seen himself on the map, but LGD still have enough presence of mind to make sure that they're not coming out of this one without the precious Scuttlebug.
Oh, and this is going to get worse and worse for LGD, where Decade, someone that we had praised as being able to have a lot of side lane pressure in multiple of their series, now on this Gragas, taking away the tools, taking away the keys to be able to make plays like that. And it does mean that now ZDZ is taking yet another turret away from him. Flashes, they're not able to get anything from that.
Again, great moves here from the side of AL to get that turret, put themselves back on the map here, and just keep this Aatrox kind of farming up, doing well. He's 50 CS up. I only just noticed that right there. So ZDZ, massive advantage just solo in his own top side against this Gragas. So really putting in some serious work here. And it means that he is getting himself fairly tanky, fairly bruisery. So even someone like Envy, until he gets that third, fourth item, isn't going to be able to burn him down as quickly as he may like.
This is what happens when you don't match the rotations. It was ZDZ who was in the best spot possible when we saw that those TPs in the eventual mid-tier one fall for AL. He was in top side, he was trying to get as much farm as he could, then swapped down into the bottom lane, picked up some more. He's making sure to stay up to date. He's above the 10 CS mark here. And now we're eyes on him. What can this Aatrox actually do? Almost level 16. Will be able to kind of overcome a lot of the gold advantage, some of the items that maybe Envy will have. Even with the third item, it is very difficult for an AD carry to deal with someone like this Aatrox if you're not able to kill him, if you're not able to put him down early. And now, look at what AL are doing. They're able to grab this first mid turret, or at least push up on it, thanks to ZDZ rotating into mid lane. And this should be them clearing out vision on their side of the jungle, specifically into that top side, because we have a minute and a half before this dragon. But I think LGD are more than happy to say, you can take that dragon, there's a Baron.
That's the big thing. That third dragon take by AL does kind of slow down the soul for a fair bit of time, which means that you are able to get iBoy back onto item parity. You are able to kind of push in and make this Aphelios work for 300 years, or 200 years, I should say. And again and again, we're seeing more and more priority given over by AL towards their Aatrox. They know that's kind of where their win condition lies for the moment. As long as Gragas isn't able to get a barrel down, it's kind of doing its job.
Fantastic set of plays. It is as even as it could possibly get between these two teams, as neither of them very proactive, none of them really looking for plays. Zora is throwing out hooks, but I think more so just trying to keep them at arm's length, saying we have these abilities, can't really go for anything. I think we're going to be waiting until this next dragon. It is coming up in about a minute, and for right now, it's kind of just a holding pattern, farming out waves, pushing them, recalling, and seeing what you can do.
And how do you want to see these two teams approach this dragon fight? Obviously, we got... Oh, never mind. Potentially not going to have a dragon fight at all. It's going to be the Baron starter.
Let's go, LGD!
They're looking for it, but yeah, I mean, AL's already got us out. So I'll go back to my original question. How do you want to see both of these teams approach this dragon? Is it going to start in a second?
This?
You're never going to get an opportunity for it. A good hook stops the quickness from following back onto ZDZ on the backside of this fight, but a Thresh versus Rakan taken out in this fight. Getting decent damage. The feathers are flying, and Harder cannot flash away. He actually flashed and instantly died. I didn't even see the animation. That's how quickly he was dead. And this Xayah starting to really put in work. So much was expended, but they gained the fight and they gained the dragon as well. Or do
that
they?
fight was a huge advantage going over to AL. I thought the Cyclone was stopping so much. iBoy having to play around ZDZ now.
Here we go. Demonic Ascension coming in here for ZDZ. You're going to see Haichao miss his Hurricane Flip. The Dragon still putting in work here. ZDZ gets hit by all the feathers and he gets taken out. Envy finally coming to life in the LPL. 4-0-2 here on this Xayah and doing some work.
There it is. Though the laning phase might be a pain point for LGD's bot lane, team fights have not always been the same. They have been able to sometimes eke out advantages, specifically on something like a Jinx where you have that reset potential. And I want everybody to see where Xiao Hao is in this. Stops the initial perfect execution, is able to stop Jin Zhao and Akali yet again. What a perfect start to this fight, where then Envy plants its feet, no threat from the enemy team.
No threat whatsoever, and really nicely done there from LGD. Just to make sure they're coming out on top of these trades. Now on Soul Point, now got themselves a little bit of a gold advantage. But I'll be honest, it's not that big of a deal. And we'll wait to see where they're going to go for this one right now, because it is feeling like right now it's all about LGD coming out on top of these plays. It feels like LGD are the ones being more proactive and gaining the benefit from them.
Well, we'll see what they can actually do. We do have that 4-minute mark now for anyone's Legends. Can they step up to the play? Can they stop this soul from being taken? They bought themselves an additional 5 minutes by taking one of these Drakes. And potentially LGD, they might try to make a repeat of what we saw before that Dragon, which was call their bluff, start up the Baron. You have a ton of damage with this Xayah. And if Haichao can keep ZDZ in a side lane, if they can make sure that they're not going to be able to go for a teleport, it's a very likely play for them. Even see start to clear out vision, start to make AL feel a little antsy, get them anxious, say we don't have vision. They could be starting this at any moment if they get into Fog of War.
That's the thing. Get into Fog of War, get yourself set up for plenty of fights. Could you go for it? It's the power of the buy. Just having that point and click CC, jump on the AD carry, force out all the summoners, and then what are you able to do? That is the question, and the answer is very little. So 2,000 gold lead for LGD, 3 dragons to 1. It's coming to the point now where all it takes is one decent fight, one good moment here from either of these teams to make it work. iBoy trying to see if he can steal away a red, but great vision control right now from the side of AL. Makes it so difficult for anyone on the side of anyone's Legends to walk in and try and deal with this dragon or deal with this Baron push, and Baron's going to be started.
They know that they have no vision in here, so immediately starting this up. Look at where Jin Zhao is. He's in a very good flank for them. Haichao will then be able to pincer them afterwards. Zora just immediately going in.
It's gone. Zora goes in to play keep away, and that's exactly what he does, because he's able to dance his way out of that one there. And that is just LGD utilizing their vision prowess, utilizing the fact that they knew they had got full control over that jungle, and AL couldn't go in.
They just didn't pull it fast enough. They didn't want to walk into Fog of War. They even used the Shirelius from Zora to get into the pit, but no one's able to grab that. So Baron now available for LGD as they have it on them. They can push out these lanes. The best I think that AL can really look for is maybe they're able to grab a turret here in the top side with some objective bounties. That'll feel pretty nice. But they've already left the base. They won't be able to actually spend this gold. A minute and a half before this dragon spawns. In Anyone's Legends, they need to be able to get as strong as they humanly can right now. The next 40 seconds should be iBoy picking up every single wave as they can. And Harder should be leaning down and towards this bot side. Should be looking to try to get some damage down.
Just easy does it for the side of LGD. Don't need to panic, don't need to push for too much in the sense of things. You've got the priority in the side waves. You've got yourself a 3.5 item Xayah right now. Envy is just miles ahead of where iBoy could ever achieve to be in the next few minutes. So it's just becoming harder and harder for the side of AL to try and do anything about it. So for me, it does feel like this is LGD's game to lose. And again, great play for them, great patient moves from them to try and make sure this win gets them towards that, first series win.
Harder is sitting on a side lane when you're playing Annie. Mistake number one there for AL. They're not able to contest anymore. We've been waiting for Harder to get something done. Now has the Zonia, so should be feeling pretty safe if he does actually end up going for an engage. 40 seconds now. Xiaohao's back is canceled there with the Everfrost. And Decade moving through mid lane, pushing constantly. You even see Haichao now on the opposite side for bottom lane doing that. AL, they need to make a play happen. It should be around this dragon. And my eyes are going to be either on Zora or Harder. They need to be participating for them to having meaningful influence this game.
It's all about trying to see if they can get some kind of engage. The Annie and the Wukong have such incredible burst, but doesn't matter if for squat if you can't get it out there. And I will say Decade is level 18. He is so far ahead of everybody else in terms of levels. Now that those extra stats is just invaluable to this team. And now with Dragon on the Rift, maybe we look for a fight. Here we go. They're going to try and go for it, but immediately Envy goes into the Feather Storm. Now Haichao on the backside looking for iBoy.
Okay.
As Harder has gone down. They're not able to kill off the jungler of LGD, and LGD are looking for these kills. Double kill coming in here now for Envy. Uses his flash and his cleanse, but gets every bit of example that he needs from it. And now LGD, they might not even have a dragon. They've still got Baron. They can push up for this wave. They can push up for this win.
They can go for it. I mean, Haichao has teleport as well, waiting for it. Actually, just going to use it bottom lane. 2 members left for anyone's legend. And LGD, they're going to take game 1.
Yeah, this could be it. This could be LGD taking themselves a 1-0 advantage over against AL. Flash away by Haichao to try and keep himself alive, but this AD carry of LGD is just too damn big. Nothing you can do. We'll call it a delayed quadra for the LGD Envy, and that is going to be game 1 of this best of 3 to LGD.
Wow. After an early game that we were talking about for Xiaohao looking so good on this Wukong, even top lane kind of going in favor. We saw some good moments, but outside of the laning phase, outside of individual CS leads, AL just weren't able to get anything done. This Thresh pick felt more like it could have been a Tom Kench for all intents and purposes, not actually able to make any meaningful engages. Jinzhao and Envy really getting work done.